Hey everyone, Brian here, and welcome back to The Sims 4. So today we're taking a little break from the YouTubers. I do still plan to create Jacksepticeye and Markiplier and, parts of their extended groups, because Sherry and I still feel like they would be good additions to our town. But today we're going to be making some other characters. Today we're actually going to be making Today we're going to be making some cartoon characters. We're making Sims versions of the Pines from Gravity Falls. So we're gonna have Stanley and Stanford Pines, as well as Dipper and Mabel Pines. And then we're also going to be doing some Steven Universe characters. I plan to do Steven and Greg Universe, as well as the three main gems from that series, Garnet, Pearl, and Amethyst. So we're going to get right into that. And I'm going to start with the Pines. That's why I've made an Elder here. We're going to start with Stanley and Stanford Pines, and we'll move on from there. So let's get started. So he's an Elder. This is going to be Stanley. Well,
Bishnarim.
Yeah, that works. That works for a voice. Now, Stanley is a money guy, right? Yeah, he's all about being fabulously wealthy. He just wants lots of money indeed. Let's see, and what's he like? What is he like? Huh. That's tricky. He's ambitious. He's materialistic. He's certainly materialistic.
Oh, Griffin, huh?
Yeah, that's right. What else? What else is he? Let's see. He is... I don't know, man. This is tough. He doesn't hate children, but he's not particularly family-oriented either. Wow, this is tough, actually. One could say that he is creative. He does come up with some creative ideas for making money. Yeah. And then, ambitious. Yes. Yes. Excellent. My name is Stanley Pines. There we go. Alrighty. So, we're gonna go through, we're gonna make this guide. It's gonna be a fun time. Now, one of the great things about working with cartoon characters versus real people is that they tend to have very exaggerated features. So, whereas, making a real person is a very finicky process of, very detailed editing of a specific feature in order to make them recognizable as that person. Making a cartoon character into a real person is much simpler, because really all you have to do is focus on those exaggerated features and make them very recognizable. So for instance, Stanley Pines, if you recognize the exaggerated features, he has a very square jaw, a very big jaw, a very square chin, a very big chin, a big bulbous nose. So really all that we have to do in order to make Stanley Pines recognizable as a more realistic human character is focus on those exaggerated features and flesh those exaggerated features out. So that's what we're focusing on here, is making those exaggerated features. He's got big bushy eyebrows, he's got the big bulbous nose, he's got the square jaw and chin, and I don't know how we're gonna do the mouth because he doesn't really have lips in the cartoon series. When you do see him with his mouth closed, his mouth is basically just like a line, and that's just the artistic style that they chose to use. So, you know, maybe something like this, but it has to be wider because, you know, that's how. Yeah, something like this. Oop. Yeah, I mean, that works. That's good. He's also got like really big ears. But, yeah, so that's the kind of thing. That's the kind of thing that we do. So, in a way, making cartoon characters is a lot easier than trying to make real people, because we can just focus on those exaggerated features and, you know, try to bring those exaggerated features into reality as much as possible. Much easier. Much easier than trying to make a real person recognizable in a sense. Now, there is unfortunately no fez for our Stanley Pines, which is unfortunate because it would be very nice to have the fez, which he wears for the majority of the Gravity Falls series. But other than that, I think he turned out really well. You know, we've got his tux, which matches sort of what he wears in the TV series. It's not precisely the same, but, you know, it's decent enough. And I've done my best to match his hairstyle to those few times that we actually see him without his fez on. Of course, he's very broad-shouldered and, you know, tough-looking, so that works for him. We're going to move on, we're going to make Stanford, and then we're going to make Dipper and Mabel, the other two Pines twins. Now, of course, the thing to remember about Stanford Pines is that he and Stan Lee are twins. So, creating the character is actually very easy because we can just use the genetics function in the Sims Create a Sim editor, and it'll give us the exact same basic model, and then we just make a few little tweaks here and there, you know? We make, you know, hair change, we give him different glasses, because their glasses are slightly different. Different outfit, adjust the eyebrows a bit. The problem with, you know, Stanford is that they don't really have anything that matches his, like, trench coat sweater idea, so we either have to, you know, ignore the trench coat and just put him in the sweater, or he gets the coat, but it's not quite right. So I'm still working. I'm still working on it. So I mean, in the end, none of the options were really great. But this seems to work pretty well. I mean, it's similar. The coat is not exactly a trench coat. It doesn't go all the way down the way that Stanford Pines' does in the TV series. But it's, you know, it's decent. A lot of the colors are similar, you know, light coat, red shirt, darker pants, and brown shoes. It works. The problem, you know, I went in and I looked at the sweaters and sweatshirts and stuff, but there really wasn't anything else that matched, so we just kind of had to go with what was available. And this is what was available. So that's what we did. And then we're just gonna add a sim. We're not gonna work with genetics this time because that's just, I feel like it's gonna mess with something. But we're gonna do, we're gonna go with children, because we're gonna be making Dipper and Mabel, Dipper and Mabel Pines, who are also twins. So that's gonna be fun. Now, as you can see, Dipper is fairly easy to get the basics on. I mean, the basics for Dipper are baseball cap, vest with a t-shirt, shorts, socks, and sneakers. So very easy to get those basics. The difficult part, of course, comes with the details, because there is no hat that specifically matches the one that Dipper wears on the show. There is no vest-shirt combo that exactly matches what he wears on the show. So you kinda have to just make a, you know, get as close as you can kind of idea. So that's what I did. You know, baseball cap, vest and t-shirt combo, shorts, socks, and sneakers, and it all comes together and kind of works. And now we can go in, now that we have Dipper, we can go in and we can play with the genetics, create his sibling, and then, boom, randomized twin, and we get a twin to Dipper, who we just make the little tweaks to. And of course, for Mabel, we're going to, you know, give her the long hair. We're gonna give her a funky sweater, or that kind of thing. And that's gonna be a fun time. And once again, it must be pointed out that the devil is in the details. We don't have an exact match for one of Mabel's sweaters, so we went with one that was very similar. I mean, I could totally see Mabel Pines wearing this, you know, pink sweater with a rainbow stripe across it. She doesn't normally wear short sleeves, but, you know, that's what we've got. And a skirt with her little Mary Jane shoes. It's perfect. So we've got Mabel, we've got Dipper, we've got Stanford and Stanley Pines. So there's our Pines family. Of course, we're gonna have to build a house for them, and I'm gonna do my best. Oh boy. I would really love to recreate the Mystery Shack from Gravity Falls, but I just don't know if my house building skills are there. Before I move on to building their house, though, what I'm gonna back out, and I'm actually going to create my Steven Universe family, the 3 gems along with Greg and Steven Universe, so that we can get all of those created into one episode. And then I may or may not record myself building houses for those 2. Because we've done a lot of house building, we've done a lot of character creation, we want to get in and we want to be able to play the game, but we're not ready to play the game yet, because we don't have a full neighborhood. Yeah, we've got, you know, 5 or 6 households built already, but we want a full neighborhood in order to have fun with them. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get these guys moved in, and we'll be right back. So the difficulty with a character like Greg Universe is just, you know, he's such a caricature of an actual person that it's really difficult to get an idea of what he might look like if he was real. And then there's the question of which one do you go with? Do you go with the one where he's, you know, the usual, how he normally appears in the Steven Universe series, you know, older with a big, like, mostly bald, but the rest of his hair is still really long? Because I don't know that we find that hairstyle. Yeah, I don't see anything like that hairstyle here. Or do we make a young or a young Greg Universe and just give him like this really big whoosh kind of a hairstyle, and maybe that's the Greg that we go with. It's really difficult to decide what to do. But I'll probably go with an older. I mean, this looks kind of like him, except for, of course, the fact that the hair isn't really long. So, I don't know. It's a tough decision. We're gonna have to see how it turns out. So in the end, we went with an older Greg Universe. He's got the bald head with sort of whatever this fringe is called. I can't remember it off the top of my head. There's a word for this. For like, no, it's not a tonsure. That's the, like, just a bald patch right at the top with everything else all the way around. But there's a name for it. I can't remember what it is, but that's that. You know, he's got the big belly and everything else. And then, tank top, flip-flops, you know, everything like that. And then what we do is we go in here, we play with genetics, and we add Steven, who is his child. He's a boy. And he's a child. There we go. And randomize sun. Boom. But we're gonna go in and we're of course going to edit the sun because Steven all has his own, like, everything about him is very specific to Steven. So we'll mess around with that and we'll see how Steven turns out. It'll be fun for sure. So I mean, again, when making Steven, we run into the same kind of problem where, you know, he's just such a caricature. It's difficult to come up with exactly what he would look like, and the options in the Create a Sim editor don't necessarily include everything that you would need in order to make him perfect. That being said, you know, t-shirt with a fairly simple design on it. We got the colors right at least. The sort of, you know, cropped off jeans and flip-flops, again, like his dad. The hairstyle isn't perfect, but it's better than the others that I could find. Now, a difficult part is going to be making the gems, because I don't actually know what the alien options are. I'm going to play around with it. We'll see how the gems turn out. Like I said, I'm going to be making Garnet, Amethyst, and Pearl. So, I mean, this skin tone looks like it works kind of for Amethyst. So we'll see how that goes. And we're done. So I've done the best that I can with the gems. Let's introduce you to them one at a time. We have Garnet. You know, obviously the clothes are an issue, but I think I've got the skin tone pretty close. The hair, obviously, the goggles, all make sense. Amethyst, I'm very happy with how Amethyst turned out. The skin tone is almost perfect. The hair, I mean, there was no, like, purple hair color, but in the TV series, her hair is generally light. So, you know, tank top, pants, all good. And Pearl. Lovely Pearl. Turned out quite nicely, actually. I'm very pleased with how the gems turned out, actually. And because they're aliens, it's a little bit, you know, it's interesting for sure. Again, maybe not going to build their houses on video. We're going to probably take a break, leave this episode off here for now. I'm not really sure what the overall time is going to come to after editing, but when we come back next time, we're going to move right on to building more of our town's inhabitants out. Still want to do Jacksepticeye, still want to do Markiplier and some of their extended groups. So we want to fill out the town a little bit. I've also noticed, now obviously the gems are technically female. In the TV series, they're not technically female. They just they look like females, or their forms take the form of females. Whereas in the Sims universe, they are technically females. However, Sherry was mentioning this, and I also noticed it. There are not a whole lot of unattached females in our town. So I may have to go in and just make like a household full of randomized females just to, you know, round out the male to female ratio in our town. But we'll see how that goes. For now, I really do want to thank everyone for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and maybe check out my Patreon page. And as always, we'll see you again next time.